And it is time for the hot topic of the hour. Former President Trump sitting down at the Economic Club of Chicago yesterday, where he doubled down on his tariff plan, something he told me about just days earlier. You even introduced this 15% corporate tax rate for companies who produce in America and hire American workers. But how will you pay for it? The Committee for a Responsible Budget says your plans will increase the debt by $7.5 trillion.
But they don't know.
The Wall Street Journal said that your plans will increase the debt and deficits more than Kamala Harris's.
If I do this, you're going to have car companies coming back to the country because of the taxes and the tariffs. The tariffs will protect them when they come in. Tariff's a very beautiful word. It's a word that's going to make our country rich again.
But what about the criticism, and the Journal has done this as well, that if you do put something like a 200% tariff on a product, that it's only going to mean higher prices for consumers?
It's not. No, it doesn't mean that.
It's got to be passed on somehow.
No, right. All I'm doing is saying, I'll put 200 or 500. I don't care. I'll put a number where they can't sell one car into the United. I don't want them to sell the car, because I don't want them hurting our car companies. And
how are you going to pay for all of this no tax on stuff? And you said that there's a lot of fat in government that you're going to save money.
I gave you an answer, growth.
Trump getting into it again yesterday with Bloomberg's editor-in-chief over the same plans. Watch.
It must be hard for you to, spend 25 years talking about tariffs as being negative and then have somebody explain to you that you're totally wrong.
The editor-in-chief noting Vice President Harris was given the same opportunity to do an interview at the Economic Club of Chicago, but she declined. Adam, this issue, good morning, everybody. Great to see you. Adam Johnson, this issue keeps coming up of tariffs. But what Trump told me on Sunday was that he's probably not going to put the tariff in place, that it's a threat, that, yes, he doesn't care if it's 100, if it's 200, 500. The point is he doesn't want China and whomever else sending cars into America after having them made in Mexico cheaply. That's the bottom line. He wants all of this made in America.
I hope it is a threat, because the bark is bigger than the bite, if in fact it is, and then it accomplishes the task.
Exactly.
You know, what's the old saying about from the Chinese general, the mightiest general is the one who never draws his sword, right? Because you're so afraid of what would happen if he did draw his sword. I don't like tariffs. I think tariffs get in the way by definition of free trade, and if our companies can't make things more efficiently here, then they need to address the root causes of those issues. I think slapping a tariff creates an artificial barrier. So I'm not a fan of free trade. I'm not a fan of tariffs. I prefer free trade. And I also will tell you that as a money manager who had to live through the 2016 tariffs when they were first erected, it made things very messy for 6 months.
Yeah, I think what people miss about Trump's tariff plans is it's also a national security lever to pull. It's not just about the economy, but it's also keeping adversaries at bay. I mean, there's a reason that China was pretty tame under the Trump administration. They were afraid of that threat. And so he's using it as an economic lever that he pulls to ensure that they're not importing and dumping cheap stuff here, but he's also using it as a national security threat, I think.
Oh, right, absolutely. And we know that tariffs are a tax on the consumer, but it's about what about the potential collective benefits? And as you were saying, Trump wants to protect domestic manufacturing for national security, for the defense industrial base, for the resiliency of our supply chains, because he believes that that's important on the international stage. And Maria, I've seen a lot of progressive economists slamming these tariff proposals because obviously it will impose an extra expense on those buying from overseas. But I noticed that when it comes to certain taxes, like carbon taxes, they're fine with that.
Right, exactly.
So it's
That's a great point.
It's not about the cost. It's about what is the goal of that cost. They don't care about domestic manufacturing. They care about the climate agenda. That's why they're okay with it.
Exactly. After my Sunday interview, I realized that this is all just a threat. And so I realized, because he actually explained it, I realized that, in fact, this is his threat. It keeps adversaries at bay, and he wants to ensure that the U.S. auto industry sees a revolution. I want to get your take on Kamala Harris, because despite turning down that interview that you heard from the anchor there in Chicago, Harris is set for her first Fox interview tonight. Bret Baier is going to have that interview tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, special report. Plus, Trump's town Hall with Fox News' Harris Faulkner is airing today at 11 a.m. on the Faulkner Focus. That features an all-female audience about issues that affect females. Here's a preview of that.
What kind of realistic changes that do you think you can provide single parents, married parents, any kind of parent to just simply afford children in today's world with the way things are?
I understand exactly what you're saying. We're going to readjust things so that it's fair to everybody, because it's really not fair to everybody. But we have a lot, and we're going up higher, but we're also going to readjust because you have to make some readjustments. It's unfair to some people, and we're not going to have that.
He's referring there to inflation. But, Jonathan, your take on what you believe Kamala Harris has to answer tonight to Bret Baier?
She has to have a coherent answer, which I think is highly unlikely, on the border issue. I hope on two fronts he asked her. I want to see if he will confront her on the slandering of the Border Patrol agents that she did, Mayorkas did, and Biden did in 2021. But also, what are they going to do with all of the people that have claimed asylum that are going to be denied asylum? They've been adamant that they are against mass deportation. So are they actually, are they going to let them stay anyway? And it seems like that's what they've been saying. So I hope he addresses those two issues, and I'd like to hear a serious answer from her.
What do you think?
I think on taxes specifically, Kamala Harris is claiming to be this champion of entrepreneurship, right? But the polling clearly shows that small businesses care less about, subsidies that she's offering. And of course, she confused tax deduction with tax credits. It's not that she's going to give them a $50,000 check, but what they really want is deregulation. They want to get rid of the red tape, the bureaucracy that's invading into their daily lives and preventing them from being profitable and successful in the American economy.
And Trump will do that. She will not.
This is the key issue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just about growth policies. It's about policies that have kept business down. And that is the regulatory framework. Right. And that is what Trump says it's a beautiful thing to cut regulation. We're just getting started this morning. We've had a lot coming up.